Good, how are you?
Good. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. It's wonderful to meet you and congrats on the film. You're both fantastic.
Thank you.
Um, we don't have a lot of time, so let me jump right in. And I'm Christy, by the way. So I'm wondering, you both, I believe, have had experience with ranches in real life, correct?
Yeah,
Do you think that that made you feel more comfortable and the characters are able to get into this kind of setting at least?
I think so. This is it's not like something you can just learn overnight or bond with in that way. And I think you need to have a history going in, especially with this. Carlisle, who wrote the script and directed, it's so authentic that you feel like you want to, be up for that
Mhm.
to have, some respect for what he wrote because it does come through and the that audience of those people they're going to be watching it and they will bust you immediately on
Yeah, it's
that.
got to pass the smell test.
Yeah.
You know, and that was important for me too. Just in reading the movie, I was like, I do have experience with this. On the other side of it, for True, he had to have experience with being an athlete. These guys are athletes. They're doing death-defying things, and
Yeah.
there was a connection there for me where I could sort of relive that aspect of my life almost in a therapeutic way for me, having been a hockey player and having injuries and playing through injuries and having
Mm.
that be my identity and losing that identity. Who am I if I'm not a bareback bronc rider? Who am I if I'm not a hockey player? All those feelings are very similar, if not the same. And so that was something that I felt needed to be authentic as well to match the authenticity of the world that it's set in. And that was obviously being shepherded by Carlisle, who, you know, is the most authentic Western director that I've ever worked with.
Mhm.
And so yeah, that was pretty great.
Wonderful answer. And I think the authenticity really came through. So I think that that is a very important part. Um, I'm curious, have you either of you ever tried any rodeo, any hands rodeo?
Well, I've done some calf roping in my time, uh,
Nice.
and some cutting. There's no cutting in rodeo, but cutting events with horses, and I've had horses
Yeah.
throughout my life, and it's and I've been a lover of rodeo, and I want to see it expanded. In fact, we're going to the American rodeo today, which is
Oh, cool.
yeah, that's where we're kind of debuting all this stuff, and that's which is wants to expand rodeo. It's growing, and to expand it beyond east of the Mississippi River.
Great.
I think there's an audience for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is also a very powerful movie. I think there's a lot of really great emotional depth to it and a lot of growth for, especially Wyatt's character, but also yours as well, Dennis, with everything that goes on. I'm just wondering, in your own words, what do you think really the message is of this film?
No, he said, survival, you know. Somebody else said redemption, but I think it's kind of a bittersweet type of redemption, or even getting to that point where you can even, start your way back.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, a lot of things you wish you said that it's now too late for,
Yeah.
where you, but it's very relatable, it's there's rodeo in this, but it's got to be about something that people can relate to bigger than rodeo
Mhm.
that in order otherwise just watch a rodeo
Yeah.
and this is I think the relationships and what happens here I think people will find relatable.
And I think for me, it was the struggle to find identity.
Yeah.
At that part of your life, I think it's very relatable for any sort of person in their early 30s to mid 30s to identify with something that you are.
Yeah.
And you've identified for something for so long as yourself, and then that thing gets taken away, and you can no longer call yourself that.
Yeah.
It's very difficult process trying to get to someplace else that you can identify as.
Hmm.
And so that the journey of that obviously dramatized in this film, just I think hopefully connects with a lot of these people that live in this part of our country that this culture supersedes as the main aspect of what life is: ranching, farming, rodeo. Those are cultural elements that people identify with, that at some point in your life, if you're doing those things, you need to become something else. You need to grow and become something in your life that might not be a bareback bronc rider,
Right.
but that doesn't mean that you're still not one. And to carry that with you, as I did with hockey,
Mhm.
I'll always be a hockey player. It's who I am. It's what made me. But I'm not doing it anymore, and it's not how I identify as a human being. I think that is something we hopefully can connect with audiences.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time. Have a great day and rodeo, and thanks again.
Thank you.
Bye.